Okay, we're good.
Okay, welcome everybody to the second, Finance Monthly Review Workshop. We're gonna go through the agenda, the same agenda as last month. We didn't have any items to change up or add that I recall, so, I may go in a different order because I'm gonna just follow the handouts, and I don't know if, I wonder if there's a way that I can hold up what page we're on, or, I don't know, I'll just tell them by their title description. So the first one is just my department head report that I'm planning to bring to you guys. I don't know of any changes. It goes over, January sales tax did come in a little below our estimate, but I'm not really overly concerned about that because that's pretty common this time of year. It was over this year's amount in January last year, but we estimated, you know, higher than that. So, I did go through and change, and this is the first item on the agenda talking about the 120 days, well, it's the second item, reviewing the operating cash levels for the 5 major funds. As I've told you guys before, I go through and update that periodically, so I took the last 6 months, June through December of 2023, and that put us at, I believe, 147 days in cash on general and 127 on street. But I do know that, you know, usually street is the healthiest one, but they really, really worked hard to spend as much of their capital in the first month of the year and get it over and done with. So I imagine theirs will start going up after this. But that's this page that everybody's kind of used to seeing. I don't know if they can, Jordan, you know, can you zoom in on the video already?
Oh, I don't think so.
It's the regular page 5 in the regular financial report. In that page 5? Yeah, page 5, that has those days in cash. And if you'll notice, up at the top, it says updated 1/31/24. And so that always, when I do an update, and you guys can request an update anytime you want. Like I've told you guys before in the past, I used to do it way more frequently. But, I mean, you really don't get significant swings unless you wait and do it every 6 months or so, you know, so it doesn't, you know, it's, because we have some seasonal things. So let's see, going back to the report, so I talk about the days in cash. Obviously, water's still critically low because we have yet to get our $3.5 million from A&RC, but we're working on that. I added the new 620 infrastructure fund at the bottom of page 7, and I removed 167 and 700 funds because they are no longer active. That was our old Amendment 78 was 167, and 700 was the old Advertising and Promotion Commission account. So I removed those two, which did allow me to reduce the report by 1 page, which I was excited about. And attached to mine, like we did last month, is the support for the fire compressor, which is a quote from, and they're also part of a cooperative purchasing agreement, and the TIPS quote from the Floors and More for the tile at the police department. Those 2 items are in the list of budget adjustments, that it's actually to the good for general fund by $14,000, but does, because we're going to take the fire suppressor thing out of capital, will come out of that 120 days or 147 days of savings. And the reason why it's a reduction is because we did remove the rest of the engineering services, and we're moving those into Public Works, but we didn't immediately move them into Public Works because Tim felt like his budget could absorb a little bit of that. I mean, it's basically just one person, and they don't have a lot. And so that's this page here that has the list of the budget adjustments. So it's got the PD tile, which is not going to be capital, it's going to be maintenance. And then also various minor personnel changes that we had to do with people's vacancies and leaving. And so let's see where we are on. We've done number 2 because we reviewed the cash levels. We'll do number 1 on the budget variances. That is pages 2 and 3 on the regular report, the executive summary. And so what I do is, you know, every month I go in and manually change this year-to-date budget amount to match what it should be for the current month. So this month is just 1 month's worth of data, and then over here on the far right is the favorable, unfavorable variance. if we were to remove all seasonal changes or whatever that, and just everything be flat, which we know it's not, that would say if we just took 1/12 of our budget, that's our comparison to that amount. So, you know, right now, and this, you know, supports what I was saying about the sales tax, like we're $87,000 below, for an unfavorable variance on general fund cash. But like I said, I'm not really, we're to the good on expenses. We're $53,000 less on expenses. So, I mean, you kind of want to look at that for any strange variances and things that are unexpected, or as you go through the year for it to be building up to be a bigger amount. But here in January, I'm not worried about either one of those. Streets down below it, streets, positive on both of theirs for January, expenses and revenue. On the following page, page 3, the top is water, and you see it's a little bit below on their revenue calculations, but they're also below on their spending for their expenses. In the middle of the page is wastewater, and they're about break even, a difference of $5,000, which is just negligible. And then they're also below on their expenses. The bottom of the page is, and I actually probably need to update my formulas because I changed it to now stormwater comes right into that fund. And so I see over here I've got I need to change that formula. But they're looking okay. They're below on their spend calculations too. Review any upcoming issues and items. You know, not this month, but the following month, I'll bring to you guys the report that goes into the paper, that's required by the state, so it'll have everything and I try really, really hard to get everything for the audit done so that we don't have a lot of audit adjustments after that point. We're really close. I'm still waiting on the other post-employment benefits report, so I can't book those numbers. And, we just got APRS in like 2 or 3 days ago, so we've got to put the APRS in there. But most of those numbers, like, you know, really don't mean anything to anybody. They're just, we have to put them in the audited, but they come from other reports. So we have no control over them, but there will be changes probably between this published version and the final audited version. So if anybody's got any questions on that. As far as upcoming items and issues, I mean, other than the tile and the fire compressor, Mayor, can you think of anything else finance-related, upcoming issues or items?
Really isn't a finance-related, but I will be doing a justification to fill the community development director position.
Mm-hmm.
It won't really affect anything because money's already budgeted for it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Nicole, can you think of anything? And then review any large projects. Crystal wasn't able to be here today, but she did get the last two pages of your packet, are her report. And, so I put it on here, and that's the budgeted capital, what went through in January, for the different, and I believe that's everything that went through in January. So, there were 2 items that were unbudgeted, but one of them was an emergency, and one of them, I don't know if it was an emergency or just something that we had, concrete for Vicky driveway, and then the lift station number 21 limb pump repair. They're pretty small amounts, altogether below $7,000, so, you know, right now, they probably won't even necessitate a budget adjustment, but we may, if we have to do enough of those emergency type things, then we may have to bring something back to you later in the year.
The 52,000 that we talked about
This morning, yes.
this morning, and then it's for Oakland, and y'all approved it in that meeting, last week.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to add that.
Yes, and it's not in these that went out for this agenda, but the agenda for council is not due till Thursday. So on this page, hang on, I'll show you which one. On this page, you'll see that added.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and then, and I'll have to get with Tim. Do you know which, that's what I was gonna say, do you know which fund or which?
No.
Okay, I'll get with Tim and find out.
He just said he had it, so.
Okay. So I'll get with him and get that one. That's a good point. That was one that got brought up this morning. And, I mean, we went through everything on the agenda pretty fast. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to tell you guys about. I mean, we're rocking along on the audit, we're rocking along on the budget book. We're actually hoping to get the budget book submitted here probably in the next 2 weeks before the end of February. Did you guys have any questions?
You answered that one about the 52,000, that was.
Anything else? Surely we're not gonna be done this fast. It's been 13 minutes, but I mean, that's good. There's not a lot that,
There's not a lot happening.
yeah, there's
Right
not.
now, it's pretty quiet.
Which
We
is
finished
nice.
2023 almost, right?
We're trying, and I won't swear to it, because, you know, last year took so much longer than I thought it was going to. I'm just leaping through the report, but, you know, I do that when I construct that department head. I kind of go through it page by page looking for anything, so, you know, with it being the first month of the year, there's just not a lot to look at, you know, comparison-wise.
And when we get the money from ANRC,
Yes.
how will that affect those days? Do you see it affecting the days?
It will
or something?
immediately
Increase it.
alleviate a lot of that concern that I have, and I've talked to Tim, and I know I've talked to council in the past. It's been a while, but that's been on my to-do list, is to come up with a reserve policy, because, you know, the 120 days is just an unofficial thing that we do. I think we should go ahead and make it official, and what I'm hoping to do is have that ready by May at the latest. And what we would do is, because at first I didn't want to do it and have to say water was outside of what we adopted, and I didn't want to have to do them separately. So what we could do is have it ready to go, and as soon as we get that, because it would be about half the money to get them up to their 120 days. So just go ahead and like I say, I've talked to Tim, set that money aside immediately to get them back up to where they need to be. And then, we are concerned because, you know, we need them to be at a little bit more than a break even, you know, on a regular basis. But also, I'm not moving those 620 infrastructure fee funds. I'm not moving them every month. The next time I will move them will be again at the end of March. I talked to Mariah and we thought, well, let's do them quarterly. So that's gonna help that too, because it'll take the debt, you know, out of the mix. And so, I think we're gonna be okay. We just gotta continue to watch it and then immediately set that aside to get us back to where we need to be, and then make sure we stay where we need to be, is basically. And I did want to point out that I did something a little bit different this month. You have 2 pooled cash reports. The first one is the one at the end of the year. I did that because like I said, I'm still trying to close out the end of the year, and I'm more than likely going to bring some 2023 budget adjustments to do that, and one of them is to help get that water cash zero. You know, we could move the rest of this subdivision impact fee money and their water impact fee money and get them to, you know, basically break even. And it just makes the audit look cleaner. It's a timing issue. I mean, we kind of all know that because we are on wood. The other thing I did want to let you guys know, you know, I talked to the auditors. I was unsure about booking that amount at the end of the year, and the last piece he talked to me, the audit partner said that he felt like rather than book it, even though we know we're going to get it and they know we're going to get it, it is a huge amount, to put it as a subsequent event footnote in the audit. So I think that's probably what we're going to do, but I mean, I don't have 100% assurance of that, but I think that's it, you know. So right now, so you won't see the if we do that and it's a subsequent event footnote, you will not see that 3.5 booked at the end of 2023 like you ordinarily would with an accounts receivable or revenue, but, you know, it's a little bit different of a thing because it actually wouldn't be that anyway, because it would be taking on the debt. So, you know, even though we're obligated, I think they felt kind of like what I felt. It feels like a weird thing to book it and still go another 6 months and not get any of it. And the MOU is actually dated January, you know, so, So I think that's where we're gonna settle on that. But I did include this page for you guys just for reference, and then I included the one at the end of January that always goes in my report. While y'all are here, like, I did wanna point out just, these pages, that I really like in the report that are up behind the summary, because they've got everything on them, for all the funds. And so, and they give the names in the system of the funds. So if anybody's got, any questions is there, because they've been in there for a while now, but they are a Tyler report that I like, so, and they tie back to this page that shows all the cash, everything in one snapshot, even our petty cash. So, I think that basically gets us through the packet that I had ready to talk about.
For a month, fortunately.
Mhm.
That's never a bad thing, I think. Because we have way more fast and furious months.
Yeah, this is kind of a good little report.
Yeah, I like it. I wish I could run it, the whole thing, but it'll only let you put 7 funds on each page. So, but it will let me pull it out in Excel, so I can add them all up pretty quick.
That's good.
Yes. And, I loosely have them divided up by related stuff, so if you'll notice, all the street stuff is together and all the general fund. So it kind of makes some sense, the way that they're divided.
That's where you're talking about where it all ties back together on.
Yep. So you can come to those totals and stuff and kind of see. That's the color shadings that I have on this page are the ones that correspond to what pages they are on the other page.
It's nice.
I don't have a lot of questions, and I would if I had to. I would ask you.
Yes. That's good. Well, we may just want to call it. It's 12:21.
Yeah,
I'll let you go back to lunch. Let you go to lunch.
yeah, let you go to lunch.
I'm an early eater, so. My husband asked me, he said, "Did you take the chili?" I said, "Yes, of course."
Huh?
Or he's been just sitting there the whole time.
Chief, do you have any questions?
He was probably wondering if you guys had any questions
It
on
looks
the
like
fire.
you're
No, I don't have any.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll be frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have no questions on your fire?
There we go.
We thought you were frozen.
Nope, he says no.
Okay, we ready?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank y'all.
Again.
Mhm.